how beautiful. So we're right above Matewan, West Virginia, on the way to Sarah Ann, which is where Devil Anse and his family spent the last 15 years of Devil Anse's life. It's also where they're buried. But I wanted to pull over and show you this beauty. So already from here you can see the 3 crosses up on the beautiful fall mountainside. So this is a pretty steep far walk. So we're going to go ahead and start. You can't ride up here, you can only walk. You know, as that sign says.
And right up here is about halfway.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is quite a hike. My legs are burning. So on October 17th, 1911, Elias and Troy both died in Montgomery, West Virginia. A little place called Boomer. And this is where their story ended. Live by the gun, die by the gun. They're buried right next to their father, Devil Anse, and their mother.
But let's see, there's a bunch of them. Little aluminum markers like that. Back over in the woods over through there. And back that way. We'll go check those out in a minute. There's a geocache right there, by the way. Just in case anybody's curious what the little box is. But I'm going to look at some of these. Look at that one. It's a piece of metal, a steel cross with concrete all around it. See ETAMATHA something. Departed the 28th of 1939. It's a wild looking one, isn't it? Here's a couple. I believe these look military here. Veterans. Nope. 1897. Nick Manolis. 1897, 1944. There's a couple more. You can see them back in the woods. Back in through there. There's one. Back in the woods. Let me get back under here, under the brush. 1893 to 1950. Steve Smith. John Sorko. 1889 to 1954. That one's back in the woods, and you can see a couple other. The marker there in the center, way back in the woods, and there's more out here. You can see the divots. There's a grave here. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera, but there's a divot in the ground there. There's a divot in the ground beside there. Other side of those trees. There's more. They're unmarked. There's a little tiny headstone. I see a little bitty stone now at the end of that divot. Getting rained on. It's been raining a little bit today, but just that one little stone in the divot where the ground has sunk a little bit, and you can see more stones back there throughout the woods, but they're just completely overgrown. Mother Nature has taken back over. Try not to bump the trees too much. Half a gallon of water falls every time you hit one of them. Get around here. It says baby. Jacqueline Dean. That's terrible. May 22nd, 1953 to June 2nd, 1953. Someone's baby. There's the other one. A little stone back in the woods. And you can see the divots there, there, all down through there. And the path continues on. There's one. Let me get turned down a little hill here. Whoa. Get down a little hill, but not quite that fast. Not that quickly. There's somebody hunting back up in the woods. We are in West Virginia, middle of nowhere. Frank Slinger? 1883 to 1952. Huh. There's some more. We'll get into some Hatfields here in a minute. These are, like I said, these are just buried in the woods. And you can just see little tiny paths leading through the woods. You know, through the thick overgrowth. The yucca plants all over the place, you know, typical cemetery plants around here. I'm assuming the rest of you guys do that too. I don't know. Get down here without falling. It's very wet, very slippery, very muddy. Probably not the best day to do this, but it's the day we had. You know how that goes. You can do with what you got. Little holly tree. Pokey little devils. And here's two. Way back in here. Back in the woods. Raymond Hatfield. 1913 to 1967. Raymond B. Hatfield. There's Nona Lee Hatfield. Mom, it says. Nona Lee Hatfield. 1815 to 1980. Someone's made a little... It's the little kid's handprint. There's more. There's a path going down that way. It's a little bit too steep and a little bit too muddy for that one today. But you can see the path goes back out through that way. There's more out through there. But they're just scattered all through the woods. It's actually a bigger cemetery than most people think. Most people think that it just starts and ends where Devil Anse's grave is, but it doesn't.
Let's see, who is this? Troy Ward, son of John and Nancy Vance. Okay. He died, he was 18. Weep not, father and mother, for me, for I am waiting in glory for thee. So with the rain is coming more smoke on the mountains. Beautiful is that. It's October 16th.
There. They're just all over the place. And like I said, this was very common, you know, back in the day to just use a stone. Sometimes they would paint them white, but usually not. You know, just a marker is all it was. I'll get that one. All I can see is a 1930. Click Eugene V. January 13th, 1930. And those, there's nothing obviously. No name at all. Just a rock. And that one's a little bit on a hillside too. You can't really tell it in the camera, I'm sure, but you can see some of the little mounds. Like right there's one. You know, there's a grave on the other side, one on this side, one right there. That one. That is Rebecca Click. 1901 to 1961. So that's the same as, these are probably all, this is probably family here as well. And there. And I see some more. I see a small cross back in the brush, back in there in the thorns. I don't think we'll be able to get to those though. You can see more stones back in the thorns, back in there. Maybe in the winter when all the brush has died down a little bit. Come back up here and see if we can't get back in the woods. Show you guys some of the older ones. Some of the other ones way back in the woods. But there's more down there all around. But we're gonna work our way back down. The one up there with the chains Heather was doing, that's an interesting one, like I said. It just says killed by accident. And nobody really knows why. We looked up his death certificate.
So this gravesite has been a mystery for a while. It says Wise F. Kimmel, 1905 to 1927, 21 years old, killed by accident. Well, I found his death certificate, and he was actually killed in a coal mining accident. The death certificate says smothered by coal. So, puts that mystery to rest. Smothered by coal. Not a fun way to die.
Private. U.S. Army, World War I. Died in 1996. Willie Williams. Rogers. That's it. Looks like a 5-year-old. It just has a few little stones right there. Seems to be a marker. James Patrick. So what's that one? Florence Patrick.
This, of course, is Devil Anse's grave. And you can see Elias's and Troy's name right there. And John G. Hatfield on the top.
And a couple here, a couple old ones right there too. You know, you can see those. But the hill right there, you come down the hill, the road's down there. It's actually much steeper than it looks from the bottom. You start up this thing and get about halfway and you realize just how steep it really is. This is Devil Anse Hatfield, 1886 to 1892. Out there is where I was just at, out through there. But these here, this is the upper left corner, and there's several back through here. I'll show you them. First I want to show you, check this out. Now this is on the Devil Anse Cemetery, mounted on a tree. I showed you this from over there. This is a geocache. And we open him up and see what's in it. It's been a long time. I opened this a couple years ago. Yeah. And you can see there's all kinds of little silly stuff. You know, you put something in, take something out, whatever. But there's a little guest book you can sign, and people put different little things in there. I see a crayon. There's looks like an earplug, a washer, little bits of anything. It could be anything. You know, you put anything, you know, just a little memento of your visit, that you were here and you did something. But we'll put him back and close it up. You have to be careful of these too. Now, a lot of times you'll open these up and, you know, where they're out in the woods like this, it's a really good home for wasps and yellow jackets and hornets and stuff like that. They like they like stuff like that. So be careful when you grab these. But anyhow, okay, there's one. Another little rock right there. You can barely see it on the camera. And here's some back up in here. We're going to work our way up that way. And you can see the path goes on up the hill. Game trails, a lot of them. You know, deer. And you can hear squirrel hollering back in the woods. And I mean, this is some deep, deep, deep woods here back in here. You know, we are. There's one here. There's one right there that has no name. It's just a rock. One there, just a rock. Here's one that's got a little fence around it. I don't know how well you can see the little, looks like it's been here a long time, 20, 30 years. But Ransom Williams, 1902, 1966. And there's several right here as well. What's that one? Guessing that's his. Yeah, Ransom Williams. That's his there. And this one, Sheila E. Step Johnson, 1960 is all it says. And there's one. Beautiful place. Just rugged mountains. You know, just look at that. It's fall, leaves are changing. They're just starting to get color. It's beautiful out here. And after a long hot summer, yeah, I'll take today.
Devil Anse Hatfield statue is made out of Italian marble. Cut out in his likeness with his children's names. He died in 1921 of pneumonia. He was in his 80s. He'd been saved about 10 years. He got saved by Dyke Garrett, who I plan on doing a video about. Super interesting character. But here he is. It's really kind of weird to be so close to all of them. Elias and Troy over there. Devil Anse, Levici, Johnsy. All the players you hear about, but they're just people. Just people made famous by a small feud in the Appalachians. And that's a gunshot.
But let's see. There's Billy and Betty E-Step, 1953 and 1958 Johnsons. And up there's one. You can see the stone for that one. There's no name for that one. But you can't even tell. I mean, it's just a hillside. You know, I'm sure the camera doesn't show, you know, dimensions, that sort of thing. But this is just a steep hillside going down. I mean, you can see how this goes up. You know, the entire area, you know, it's a hillside. Most graves, you know, graveyards in southern West Virginia, you'll find are on hillsides. Because realistically speaking, there's only a couple things you can do to a piece of ground to make it unusable forever. You know, radioactivity and a graveyard. So, you know, you saved all the ground level, the low level flat land for farming and houses and stuff like that. That's why all of our graveyards you'll find are, you know, up on hills most of the time. Look at that. Looks like a jungle, doesn't it? Which technically it is. They say that this entire area is, technically speaking, is a subtropical jungle. So, you know, I guess it makes sense that it might look like one. Now this is just a path going up. Presumably a game path, game trail. You know, a couple 100 years worth of game trail. That kind of thing. It's just been weathered and widened over the years. That thing's 4 foot, 5 foot wide. Going up through there. Now that's a game trail. What it is, they're coming down off the mountain here and going down, going right down through there, down past where Heather's at, down to the creek to get water. That's what's going on. But here's a couple. There's one right there. You can see the little divot. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera, but there's definitely a divot there. Right there. Dead center of the screen. No marker. A couple rocks laying to the side. That's it. No marker. Just someone buried. More than likely, they're all the way down through here. There's one right there. All the way down through there. And just back in the woods. Yeah, I see a couple. I see some aluminum markers. Oh, thorns. Ow, more thorns. Okay, go around the thorns. There's a couple. Frank Gendrol, Jendrol, 1895, 1965, Johnson. And you can see a divot there, divot there, divot there. There are more here. They're just buried with no markers whatsoever. And here's one with a marker. Ouch. The ones are sharp. Pete Slivka, Slivka, 1894 to 1963. So these are way back in the woods and no markers whatsoever. And you can see someone's made a little path going right through there and it goes down. These other graves are over here, here, and here. And back through there, obviously, I can see a stone. I don't know how well you can see that. And go see where Heather's at. I see her little red jacket down through there somewhere. No, I think she's about 30 yards down the hill, down by Devil Anse's grave. I don't know if you can see the statue right there, but she's down there. I see a little speck of red.
Eska Ellis, born 1865, died 1896. French Ellis. Born 1857. And some of these people I actually looked up. Ida Pearl Hatfield, wife of Willis. MD. Poor guy. Actually, he's not the only one in here. A young man that was killed in a coal mining accident. I found another one. See if I can find his grave. He was also in his 20s. And of course, it's starting to rain like it does every time we go to a cemetery. The baby. 1 month old, John Browning Jr. So Willis Hatfield was another son of Devil Anse. So Willis Hatfield actually killed an innocent man in Mullins, West Virginia, a doctor, 35 years old, that would not write him a prescription for whiskey. It was a Sunday, and he shot him 6 times. He was convicted of voluntary manslaughter and pretty much got off with a slap on the wrist through possible intimidation from the Hatfield family. That being said, he did live the rest of his life uneventful, violent-free, till he died an old man, unlike the doctor. His father's right there, Devil Anse. (1913, 1933). All I can see. So this is Tennis Hatfield, another one of Devil Anse's son, buried next to his son. So after a very long, eventful, messy life, John Z. Johnson Hatfield was laid to rest here in the cemetery with the rest of his family. After being married 4 times, getting in many, many a scuffle, it all ends for everybody, eventually. Here he is. John G. Hatfield. Buried right next to his papa. I'm missing the other boy that died from coal mining accident.
The one right there in chains. You get him?
Yeah, I got him. So the name I'm looking for is Ellison Tunis. So I'm sure it's nothing, but I did hear a footstep behind me, and no one's behind me at all. Turned around to, thought it was Leo, but it's nobody. So this says Captain, or Cap T.S. Hatfield, born 1891, died 1898. Daughter, 1942, 1942. So the grave I'm looking for is Elliot Tunis, Tunis, and he also died in a coal mining accident in his 20s. And that just says Troy K, 1919 to 1973, next to Pearl. Okay, Troy K. Hatfield. This was a young woman, Lily Curry, wife of Moss F. Hatfield, 1895 to 1921. I wonder what happened to her. So thousands of people showed up for Devil Anse's funeral. And right here, his wife and family stood. And now it's quiet. Time changes everything. But we do this for enjoyment. We hope you enjoy it, and we try to just bring the area and the beauty and the stuff that, you know, people are drawn to in the Appalachians. And we live here so we can show you stuff that not everybody can necessarily see, and that's kind of the point of of our YouTube videos. So we hope you enjoy. Please subscribe and share and like our videos so that we can do bigger and better things.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. And we just barely missed the rain. Well, I mean the rain.